Welcome back to the Try You channel, tryu.com, movies, books, and music, where we don't give an anus or a penis what you had for dinner.
A and P.
Yeah, and P. What we're going to talk about today is a custom list, in addition to filling out your top 10 list to find other users with your same tastes. We have custom lists, and sometimes we try to make it a little unique, and that's hence the hat I'm wearing. But we did a list of 10 favorite movies where hat is pretty prevalent, or has even a major role, or just part of the movie. And I'll just run through my list quickly here. Number 10, I put Snatch. Brad Pitt has that hat that you see all movie, and it's really cool.
I love that movie. All of these movies are killer.
Django Unchained. I like the hat he has. I'd like to have one. The French Connection. Gene Hackman has that hat on the whole movie. Willy Wonka, The Chocolate Factory, the original one with
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, yeah,
killer.
I like it. Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, you can't
Classic.
go. Yeah, Indiana Jones his hat.
Especially that scene where he has to reach in and grab his hat before they get.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
That's
zoom in on the hat.
I'd like to go back and watch that whole Indiana Jones again. Actually, Dead Man, which I talked about in my top 10, but Johnny Depp has almost a top hat throughout that movie. Gangs of New York. This is a real top hat. Bill the Butcher.
Yeah,
it adds a couple feet, doesn't it? And then this one, for a few dollars more, Clint Eastwood, The Man with No Name, has a hat in all the trilogy, but in this one is where the scene where the two dudes shoot each other's hats. Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that
really
scene.
Cool,
yeah.
Iconic scene. V for Vendetta. I actually have used that for Halloween.
Same.
So, yeah. So that's in. My favorite one is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. It's the reason I have this hat.
Which is I've seen a lot of people do for Halloween.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, you can be out of shape, have a beard, wear a hat.
I've seen girls do it too.
I like to dress.
School.
Generally, I like to dress like a slut, but sometimes I just want to do it down.
All right. So then I responded, and you can respond to each list with your own list. So these I just fired off the top of my head when I looked at his list.
You can tell.
Hats, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Your list has just got some stuff I left out.
10, I put The Count of Monte Cristo. Number 9, The Princess Bride. Number 8, The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy.
Give me the knife.
Yeah.
I want the knife.
That's a real cool hat. Number 7, I put Caddyshack because it's got a lot of hats in it. And then he says, you get a free bowl of soup when you wear a hat, when you're wearing that hat. Rodney Dangerfield says, because the guy's hat's so ugly.
Yep.
6, I put Ford versus Ferrari.
What's the hat in that?
Matt Damon, who plays Shelby, he wears the cowboy hat.
That's right. Yep. I should have.
Which I just recently I've been watching that movie. Every time it came on,
I love that
instead
movie.
of changing it, I'd watch it. Let's see. Number 5, I put Full Metal Jacket, which almost made my top 10. Stanley Kubrick and then my dad, I still have his Vietnam helmet, which is on the cover and a big part of that.
Yeah, it is.
Made me think of that. The Untouchables, which is a great movie. Brian De Palma, Kevin Costner. But the hat that I remember mostly from the movie is Sean Connery wears like the Peaky Blinders.
Bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, exactly. Number 3, Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, yeah, I should have put that on mine,
because we used to work with this guy, and he'd always quote movies constantly, and he'd always say, "Hold my hat, Junior," and trying to sound like Jackie Gleason. So I thought of that.
And Burt Reynolds has got a hat the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
Black cowboy hat.
Yeah,
So,
when he's driving the Trans Am.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, I put Over the Top. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Turn your hat.
Yeah, when he's arm wrestling.
That's where you get a lot of strength. You get a lot of strength. Just turn your hat backwards.
You get the momentum going.
You don't need steroids or lifting.
So that's Sylvester Stallone, and he plays a guy that takes his kid in a truck, and he's going to arm wrestling competitions.
That's when you really cinema as art.
Yep. Good old 80s movies. And then number 1 is one of my favorite movies, not like in my top 10 or anything, but it's Big Trouble in Little China.
I love that movie.
And it's got a lot of hats in it.
Yeah. And on a side note, and we'll just tell this, Stefana, that is your favorite movie as well.
God, I hope so.
It should be. She acted unimpressed. She was nonplussed by the movie, but I know she was just playing cool.
But like you said, if you didn't see it when you were a kid,
yeah, that has something to do with it. When you over the top and a hat backwards reminds me, and you'll remember this.
yeah.
I have my friend of mine growing up, my best friend growing up in grade school and through high school and to this day. We were driving through Ohio State's campus. We were probably about 20 years old. At night, it's about 9 o'clock at night. Not too many people out, and I think we'd been probably drinking a little bit.
Probably.
And well, we walk by this, we drive by this guy, and you have to go really slow on campus because you got to really watch, and the speed limit's low anyways. But you just so. In any case, he's driving by. We're driving by, and there's a kid walking with his hat on backwards. And Preston sticks his head all the way from the back seat out of the window. And Preston wore his hat backwards often back then. And he just stuck his head out the window, and he said, "Sometimes I wear my hat backwards too." And he didn't tell any of us he was going to do it. And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And we drive away, and I always wondered what that person thought of that.
That's funny.
And it stuck with me ever since. But
ever since you told me about that, I think about it when I see somebody wearing their hat
I think
backwards.
from that point on, I never wore my hat backwards again. But George Carlin had mentioned that in one of his stand-up. If you're not a catcher or over the age of 12, you should not wear your hat backwards. But
George Carlin, that's a good recommendation.
Yeah. If anybody hasn't watched George Carlin, watch all of his. And if we get into series, Peaky Blinders, I think thinking of that actually made me think of the list to do the hat list, but I couldn't think of 10 series, and there might be. Maybe that's something to think about. But Peaky Blinders certainly would be the first one.
I was surprised how quick I thought of all these movies, the hat movies, to respond to your list. So I'm interested to see if any of you guys can jump on there and respond with some other hat movies that we would have forgotten.
Yeah, tell us what we left out. And maybe if you were that guy that Preston said that to.
Oh, that'd be killer.
Get on here and let us know about it, how that affected you,
if you ever wore your hat backwards, or
yeah, if it gave you relationship problems or erectile dysfunction when you got older.
ED.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that if somebody did that to me, that's what I would blame my erectile dysfunction on.
Spaceballs.
Oh yeah, you give good helmet.
Yeah,
Spaceballs.
And then Helmet the band, which we just listened to.
Helmet.
Recently.
So we'd have to do bands. Yep, Helmet would be the. Yeah, I guess at the top of my list for hat. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back with another amazing list and
phenomenal.
Yeah, just keep coming back to us. We'll get better. I hope. See you next time.